Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Jaking Off. You know what you're doing, you little podcast listener, huh? Yeah, you know what you're doing. Gross. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Jaking Off. In this episode, I'm trying to do a better job of introing these, so. Just a little, something up top, let you know what's going on. Maybe you've never listened to this before. You could be a person who's never listened to this. What is this podcast about? It's about me. My name's Jake Redpath. I'm a stand-up comedian. This podcast is about stand-up comedy sometimes. Sometimes it's about current events. Sometimes it's just about things that just really piss me off, okay? Just really make me just so upset. But yeah, that's what this podcast is about. We're doing it. We're working through it. This is gonna be a fun one. I got some clips lined up. Got some old favorites. Got some new shit. You know, the huge. I had a nice week. I had a nice little week since the last we talked. I did some comedy shows. What comedy shows did I do last week? I did a show at Westport Flea Market on Wednesday. That was a good time. Oh wow. That was great. Nice little room there. On Friday I did a show down in the Crossroads during First Friday. That was pretty sick. And then on Saturday I went to Odessa, Missouri. Ooh. Odessa, Missouri. Hey, you better not come mess around in Odessa. You gonna find out what happens you mess around in Odessa. Is that a good is that a funny voice? I hope so. I was, I was looking forward to it. Just because I was going there with some friends, people I know. We're going out to Odessa to do some comedy. And, it's exciting. You get out on the road. But just a lot of times, you go to these smaller towns and they're really sort of, it's tough. We'll just say it like that. It's tough sometimes out there. A lot of times you'll go to venues that, just totally suck and don't care about the comedy show at all. And, they just don't give a fuck. But this place in Odessa was nice. It was a nice room. The people definitely set expectations for, the customers that were going to go there, and they treated us really well, and everybody had a super fun time. It's great when that happens. It was an interesting little room because when we showed up, I'm thinking, oh God, oh fuck, this is gonna be a tough one, this is gonna be rough, and it was pretty rough. At first when we're walking in, because we walk in and the guy greets us. It's this big dude with a big beard and overalls, and he goes, he's like, hey, welcome, come on in, you guys are the comedians. And just super nice guy. But you're like, oh fuck, he's like, I own the place. You're like, okay. Man in overalls. You're like, oh God. But and the people that were there, it was packed. I mean, the whole town came out for this show. The people that were there were awesome. They wanted to have fun and everything, but you don't know how it's gonna go before the show, and you're sort of just looking around at everybody, and you're like, boy, all these people sure do look like a lot of the other people who don't have not liked my comedy. You know, you're like, oh, geez, all these people really do look like, you know, some people who may not, may not, may not like what I'm doing too much. That's pretty scary when that happens, you know. So we're sitting there, and the whole setup of this room is it's basically, I mean, it's huge. It's a big room, and it's split in half by like a wall. There's a wall. There's like gaps throughout. They're pretty big, but it's, you know, a wall splitting the entire room in half. So people are sitting on one side of the wall, and then there's other people sitting on the other side of the wall, and you're performing like sort of right in the doorway between the two sides of the room, and you have to like kind of like go back and forth to both sides. And that was a bit of a challenge. That was sort of unique about it, I guess. It was just tricky, you know. Yeah, that was sort of a funny part about it. They had wireless mics that were cutting in and out and that kind of thing. So anytime there's like technical difficulties, it can make it tough. But everybody that we all did well on the show. Almost all of us did well on the show. But we, you know, we took care of business, and they had a good time, and they want to have comedy there again. We ended up hanging out there forever. I was with my friends Dustin and Mitchell, and another guy was on the show, Brock, but he drove himself. But Dustin, Mitchell, and I hung out for a while after the show. Got to meet all the people there. There's like some bikers and stuff. They were pretty cool, and yeah, man, it was fun. It was a fun time. They took good care of us there too. But yeah, basically performing to two different rooms at once. You had to like bounce back and forth. It's pretty strange. Not super normal. I've had other really abnormal comedy experiences. One time I did a show at the American Legion in Chanute, Kansas. There's a big tank in front of the American Legion there. And I did a show. And I did a show there. And yeah, I remember that time. I think what was weird about it was like the stage sort of performance area that I was performing on was like really, really small. Like I was kind of worried that I was going to fall off of it. And there was sort of the same thing where it was like there were people in kind of two separate rooms, but instead of being in between the two, there was just like a big doorway halfway through the audience. And then there were people on the other side that you couldn't really see or hear if they were laughing, and they were kind of talking, and I really ate shit. I did really bad that time. I got the fuck out of there when the show was over. You know it's bad when you are like, I don't even want people to look at me when this is done with. Oh, man. Comedy's fun. Comedy's a fun time. We love it. And by we, I mean me. All right. Well, let's get into it, should we? My girlfriend, Jenny, she told me about... she's telling me about this video she had seen that was like this TikTok or a reel or whatever that was something along the lines of like, oh, if you want to find a chick, fellas, if you want to find a lady, like, quit looking at bars, go look at Target and Home Goods and da-da-da-da-da. And then this other lady made a response that was like, if I'm at Home Goods smelling a candle, like, don't come up and talk to me. Leave me alone. I'm fucking having a nice time to myself at Home Goods. And I don't want to be hit on. And there's just all these dudes in the comments, of course, that are like, oh, we can't, you know, you're not even allowed to talk to women anymore. Guess you can't talk to women. Guess you can't say anything to women anymore. I'm just some guy. Just some guy who's not allowed to talk to women. It's the stupidest shit ever. It's fucking dumb. Oh, you can't talk to women, dude. If you, first of all, dude, it's not even that you can't talk to women. Don't go to Home Goods and Target and hit on people that are fucking shopping, dude. I mean, like, good God, why is that the place where you're like, that, you know, you just really can't even, guys can't win anymore because you can't harass women in the halls of Target and Home Goods. It's fucking stupid. That's fucking dumb. Don't troll for pussy at Home Goods, you psycho. I mean, come on. It's not like, you know, if you have an organic conversation with somebody, fine. But don't, you know, I'm just imagining some guy like just posted up in the, you know, what would be your move if you were going to hit on a lady in Home Goods or Target? I feel like Target, you know, you like go over to like the sort of like kitchenware aisle, maybe. You like pretend to be looking at like some sort of kitchen appliance of some kind, maybe like a mixer or whatever, and see some lady. You're like, you know, hey, do you know anything about these mixers? Do you know anything? Are these good mixers? And they're like, oh, you know, I don't really know too much about those. And then you're like, oh, well, do you want to fuck? Do you want to fuck? You trying to fuck? What's your name again? I mean, dude, it's just it's inappropriate. You know, let people shop. Let them go buy the stuff that they need. You don't need to be hitting on them all the time. But it just really is like there's so much nowadays. I honestly feel like what it feels like is that being an incel is becoming more and more mainstream. You know, being an aggrieved piece of shit because you can't get laid is fucking cool now. You know, that's in. That's like a thing. And you can see it even in like the sort of the sort of people who get popular. I mean, Andrew Tate, he's huge. He's hugely popular, and I feel like more and more you're going to see, especially as the 2024 election nears, you're going to see people lean into, especially like conservatives lean into this whole, you know, incel bullshit. Because right after my girlfriend showed me or like told me about the video, the thing that she was looking at, I was on the internet and I saw this video of Dennis Prager on his show, and it's kind of in the same vein. It's sort of it's really exactly what I'm talking about. So here's Dennis Prager.
Men are simply afraid. You can't even say, man, you look great. Well, they think they can say that. They can say that, but they're afraid. They're certainly afraid to get physical. They want to, obviously. They're males. But a vast number have had no sexual contact, according to researchers looking into men and women in the recent past. In other words, last year, let's say. Men are afraid. obviously, if they're inebriated or the woman is inebriated, they're afraid there too. And you could say, well, it's a good thing. It's a great development. See, what the left has done has chilled male-female relations unprecedentedly. Sexual harassment, I have no patience for. I just want to make that clear, nor have I ever engaged in it. I didn't, because I was raised that you treat people with dignity. I mean, it wasn't a big challenge to me. And I had a very active social life until I was married at 32. And I make no defense here for sexual harassment. However, the the attempt to create a world where there is no pain is at the root of all progressive slash leftist slash woke policies. What you do, though, in trying to make a painless world, it's like what the kids have been ruined. They don't know how to deal with life because parents have tried to give them a painless upbringing.
And I mean, there it is. So you heard him talking about most of them have never had sexual contact with anyone, yada, yada, yada. To the degree that Dennis Prager is mainstream, I mean, I think he's pretty popular. I wouldn't necessarily call him mainstream, but he's certainly mainstream adjacent. No, he's mainstream. But, this guy is speaking to the incels. I mean, I think it's hilarious, the idea that Dennis Prager, like, if he were, growing up now, 100% this guy would be, I mean, he might be a fucking virgin for all I know. I mean, he is I would love to see what Dennis Prager's vibrant social life was like before he got married at 32. I mean, he looked like a fucking turtle. There's no way this guy got pussy. I'll say it, dude. Yeah, Dennis Prager tried to get pussy by hanging out in the video game section of Target. So it didn't really work out. He just ended up running into a bunch of other gamers, dude. Dennis Prager would totally be a gamer if he wasn't like fucking 70 years old or whatever. God, dude. Crazy. And I love at the beginning how he admitted, he said, he was like, men, feel like they can't, men can't say, that you think somebody's attractive anymore. He's like, well, you can say it. You can say it. It's just that they think that they can't. So it's already, he's admitting that it's the stuff that he's about to say is bullshit. He's just like, does these caveats, I don't want to, I do not like sexual harassment. However, come on, dude. I would never, say that I love, being able to comment on women's bodies around the office and say things like, hey, Gina, nice ass. But I do, because I'm Dennis Prager. The chyron at the bottom just says, the male/female hour. That's disgusting. God, dude, what a fucking dork. I mean, this is a classic case of like Revenge of the Nerds, dude. Dennis Prager clearly had, just probably a rough time in high school. People beat him up a bunch. He didn't have a robust social life. I gotta say, I don't believe that. But fucking loser. And now he finds himself on, being a guest on Fox News, and he has his little fucking radio show or whatever, and he just uses it to, just rage against anything that normal functioning people like at all. I mean, good God, dude. He's just he looks like a humorless fucking burlap sack. I just really can't with glasses on it. I can't believe anybody listens to this guy and is like, yeah, no, Dennis Prager, I love it. Yeah, he's great. He knows what he's talking about. Fucking dork. That's my analysis. Dennis Prager is a fucking dork. Fucking fight me, Dennis Prager. I'll fight. Dude, I would love to do like a boxing match with Dennis Prager. I feel like it's pretty evenly matched. He's a little older, but, well, he's a pretty big guy, too. Yeah, it's not even. Never mind. Fair is fair. We want to be fair. What is with it, dude? Why is this like this? I love how at the end of the video, he's like, every leftist policy aim is to remove pain from the world. They want to create a painless world. And I think he sort of realized that the thing he was saying was good. You know what I mean? He's saying all leftists want is equality and for people to have good and pain-free lives. And he kind of realized how awesome that sounded, and then he was like, and so children aren't able to deal with life anymore because their soft parents want to give them a pain-free upbringing. It's like, shut up, dude. I mean, come on. That's really what you believe? It can't be. He can't honestly believe that a good message to send to people is, well, leftists, they want to make there be less pain in the world. And, look at what happens to these kids. They can't deal with anything. It's like, yeah, the stuff that they have to deal with is a result of the society that we live in, man. Like children in poverty, high divorce rates. I wonder why divorce rates are so high, dude. Could it have anything to do with the fact that, our relationships are all based on financial transactions and not actually about, finding a partner that you love and care about? Strange. That's weird. I wonder if that has anything to do with the high divorce rates. Might be something worth looking into, Dennis Prager, you fucking dork-ass loser. Speaking of losers. The 2024 election is a year and a half away, I guess. Pretty long time. Joe Biden he's gonna run. I mean, they can't. I don't think they could run Kamala Harris. Yikes. That'd be scary. But Marianne Williamson is running for president. She announced she's running for president. If you don't know who Marianne Williamson is, she's running against Joe Biden in the Democratic primary. She ran against Joe Biden last time in the Democratic primary in 2020. She is like an author. I think she did like a lot of like self-help stuff. She's like a spiritual lady. She's into some woo-woo shit, which I'm not really a fan of. A lot of it, but I don't think that it's all bad is how I would put it. I don't think that her approach to it is necessarily, the worst thing ever, but she's a bit out there. She's very spiritual. But is to the degree that I think that she would be a good president, I just don't see it. I don't think that she would be a good president. But I do think that she has some value running against Joe Biden in the primary. I mean, it depends on how much sort of attention she gets, which so far it seemed like a lot. And I'm not really convinced that more people shouldn't run against Joe Biden, frankly. I mean, I would love to see some more candidates get in the race because I just think that he is sort of a weak president and a weak candidate at this point. I there's some stuff that I like that he's done, but I don't think that he's changed anything or done anything to really captivate any core group of voters other than the people who are happy that he's just not Donald Trump, which, granted, is a lot of people. That's a lot of people. But it's not enough to win an election, I don't think. I feel like it'll probably be enough if he's going against Donald Trump, but I think that if he was running against Ron DeSantis, it would be a fucking bloodbath. Dude, I really do. But I don't know if that's going to happen this election, which if it doesn't, thank God, because I would much rather have Donald Trump be president than Ron DeSantis. Scares the fuck out of me, dude. That guy is a scary fucking dude. But I think Joe Biden has a better chance at beating Donald Trump than he does Ron DeSantis, admittedly. I feel like Donald Trump got a lot of stank on him from the old January 6th. People were not a fan of that. But he's not been talking about the election very much. He has not been saying that the election was stolen a ton, so people might forget about it by 2024. I have a hard time believing that enough people will, but we'll see. We'll get a better idea of that. But Marianne Williamson is running very much to, she's posturing as being to the left of Joe Biden. And I do believe her. I do think that she is at least being honest. She's done a lot of humanitarian work and stuff like that. I think that she's a decent lady and she seems like an okay person. I hope that they treat her candidacy a little more seriously than they have been. Because I think that she is a valuable person to exist. It's a valuable voice to have somebody, at least in rhetoric, to the left of Joe Biden, because it can maybe, pull him a little bit. It could pull him over a little bit. I don't know how much sway somebody like Marianne Williamson has, because people aren't really taking it seriously, which, I mean, there's really no chance that she's going to win. I don't think that even if Joe Biden wasn't already president, even if he wasn't the sitting president, I don't think that she would be able to beat him. I just don't. She doesn't have the record and stuff like that, and we'll get into it because I'm going to play an interview that she did on ABC with this guy named Jon Karl. And it's interesting, but she's just not much of a force. And so I hope that we will see somebody else get in the race that has a little bit more of a resume politically than Marianne Williamson. But for now, she's interesting. I think that she has some good perspectives. I think that she has some bad ones. The spirituality and stuff is a little it makes me uncomfortable, but not in a way that's any different than when politicians are like super religious. I just think that she doesn't talk in a way that's going to connect to a lot of everyday Americans. She talks like, and she has more of a sort of academic approach to like speech and stuff. I feel like in the things that she recognize or that she sort of says, and I feel like she tries to, put things simply, but it just doesn't come off that way. And I don't know. She's an interesting lady. Self-help author, spiritual leader would be the words that she used. But yeah, it'll be interesting. This interview that she did with ABC, this guy Jon Karl, is sort of really a good. It's like a good case study in how mainstream news networks editorialize. Even this is a one-on-one interview. It seems so straightforward, right? But it's even the fact that they show the guy asking the questions, they show his reaction and his voice. He's all mic'd up and stuff. There's just like a lot of editorializing that happens. And they use that reporter to do it. They use the guy sitting across from her, this Jon Karl, that's asking her questions to editorialize this interview with her. And it's just interesting. And I also think it's a good chance to hear her answer some questions too. So here it is.
Why do you want to be president?
I want to be president because this country needs to make an economic U-turn. And the system that effectuates and perpetuates that kind of income and opportunity inequality is not changing itself. It tweaks itself every once in a while. There's some incremental change. But the devastation, the ubiquitous economic despair and human devastation that is produced by this sociopathic economic system is not changing. And it's not going to change if we continue to elect the same old same.
You have been called, I think it was the Associated Press, said you are the longest of long shots. Why do you think you can do this?
I would bet that the Associated Press also said that Hillary Clinton was a shoo-in. I'm sure that they would have
I don't know if they would have used that language.
Maybe
actually.
not,
No,
but that system, you know exactly what I'm saying. So the system that is now saying that I'm unserious, I'm not credible, or I'm a long shot, is the very system that protects and maintains this idea that only those whose careers have been entrenched within the system that drove us into a ditch should possibly be considered qualified to lead us out of that ditch. My qualification is not that I know how to perpetuate that system. My qualification is that I know how to disrupt it, and that is what we need.
Disrupt it how?
Well, the first thing you can do is you can cancel all college loan debt. You can make
Now,
sure...
Biden just tried that, and then the court stopped him.
He tried, yes, and some people think if he had just canceled the entire thing, and he had done it immediately, that would not have given his opponents the opportunity to wage the kind of battle against that it has.
But there are rules of how you can accomplish things, and you do have to work through Congress. I mean, we don't have a dictator.
There are many things that the president can do without working through Congress. I don't see myself as running against Joe Biden. I see this campaign as challenging a system. But this administration has given more
But you do
oil.
have to beat Biden, too. I mean,
Well,
if you're
yes,
gonna
I do.
This, you have
Yes,
to...
I do. And I plan on pointing out, not with any kind of negativity on a personal level. I have no interest in taking pot shots on any personal level to this president. He's a nice man.
Well, let me ask you, because endorsed Bernie Sanders when you got out of the
I
race.
sure did.
You've called Elizabeth Warren. I think you said she was a legend. I mean,
She is. I love those people.
both of them have said that Biden deserves re-election.
Well, that's their opinion. And this is the thing.
Are they wrong? So they're wrong?
No, it's not about, no. This is a democracy. This is not about what I think is wrong. Obviously, I believe the American people should be offered an agenda for genuine, fundamental economic reform. And it should be the voters who decide. It should not be the DNC that decides. It should be the voters who decide. That is what a democracy is.
Do you expect that Biden will debate you?
He certainly should debate me. It's called democracy, and I'm running as well.
And what about this notion of taking New Hampshire out of its position as first? You're going to New Hampshire.
I can tell you that New Hampshireites are not happy about it.
Well, we don't need to really watch any more of that. You get it, but it's just interesting. So it's not on here. I didn't play it, but when they introduced the segment, the anchor George Stephanopoulos. This is on ABC. When he introduces it, he's like, our own John Carl shits. He shits. Our own John Carl shits. John Carl takes giant dumps. Our own John Carl shits with Marianne Williamson. And they just do the interview, but they're sitting in separate bathroom stalls while they do it. They're both pooping. And there's just camera in each one, videotaping their faces. They're holding microphones and pooping and just talking between stalls. Tonight on John Carl Shits. Scarlett Johansson tonight on John Carl Shits. But they called her a long shot. He said, our own John Carl sits down with long shot presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. And it's like, yes, she is a long shot. That is technically correct. But then he's like talking about how the AP called her the longest of long shots. He asked her that question. And then she, says, well, I bet that they're probably one of the places who said that Hillary was a shoo-in. And he's like, well, I don't know if they would have said that. And it's like, yeah, they probably would, dude. They're calling this lady a long shot. It's the same thing, just very hypocritical in that moment. And if you're just listening to this on audio, anytime that he's talking and the camera is pointed at him, he's making like facial expressions and stuff like that, that are sort of that of like bewilderment and like surprise that this lady is, just that he sort of is in disbelief in a way. And so it's just so fucking annoying, dude. These people try to act like what they're doing is so serious. It's so serious. I have to do my little interview with the place, and it's so important because I'm helping democracy. And it's like, you're hurting it. You're actually hurting it. And I just sort of resent even spending time asking questions about, her chances of winning and stuff like that at this point. It's like, dude, she entered. It's the very beginning. The thing, it's not even happening for a year and a half. Why don't you ask this lady what she thinks a little bit more? I don't think that she's a particularly good interview. I mean, you heard the way that she was talking. It's just not that would never connect with anybody who isn't like, a sort of college educated person who works at a Starbucks or something like that, which is a lot of people, but she just talks in a way that isn't going to connect to people outside of, I feel like, large cities and stuff like that, which is fine for electoralism, but she's talking about a revolution, and I gotta say, it doesn't sound like she's the person who's gonna be in charge of that anytime soon. I like her though. I think that she's like a nice lady who actually means well and sort of believes the stuff that she's saying. But I also don't know very much about her, and I get the sense that people like this are pretty pretty fucking sketchy. I mean, she is running for president, so it's not like I just don't think that she has any sort of conception of how the government, would function. She can say that she wants to do this stuff all she wants, but that was the other thing. The guy was like, "Well, we have a president, not a dictator." Like acting like she's talking about how she wants to be a dictator. It's like, no, dude, that's not what she's saying. Come on. I couldn't believe that. It's like, chill out on the dictator talk, dude. That's the thing, though. These fucking people want Donald Trump back so bad. They can't wait. They're licking their chops. Fucking so excited for Donald Trump to be back in the news. You gotta pay attention to him. He's running for president. They can't wait. They cannot wait for Donald Trump to get back in full swing. I mean, you see it in this lady. They're like, well, we don't have a dictator. We don't have a dictator. We don't have a dictator. We kicked him out last election. Yeah, dude. Good luck. I think that Marianne Williamson has made a lot of good points about how until Democrats commit to, strong economic policies that benefit the working class of the United States, then they're going to have a hard time beating somebody like Donald Trump. And I do think that it gives Republicans a bit of a roadmap to beating Democrats, because they end up catching themselves into this loop of ignoring the sort of voters that they need to win in places like Florida and shit. You need to get some sort of suburban and even a little bit of a rural vote going in some of these places, because otherwise you're never going to have the sort of advantage in Congress that you need to pass any legislation. I mean, it just is going to be impossible without making some inroads with some groups that you might have lost some ground on. And as much as it pains me to say it, I feel like the kind of people that the Democratic Party should be targeting are in a lot of ways some of the same sort of people that like Dennis Prager is going after with the video that we listened to a little earlier. There are a lot of people out there, middle class, American white males, aged 18 to 25, that are just completely just disinterested in politics and don't have a lot of economic opportunities due to lack of education or lack of, jobs, that sort of thing. And I think that Democrats should try to reach out to those people. I don't think that they should do it by catering a message that is, homophobic or transphobic or, misogynist in the way. I don't think that they should play to those sorts of worse, those sorts of like really negative aspects of those groups of people. I mean, it exists. But ultimately, I think that a lot of those grievances that those people have are due to economic inequality in this country, and just the fact that they see their opportunities dwindling much like the rest of us do. And well, I mean, I guess I'm part of that group, kind of, but I'm a little bit older than that. But people my age too. I mean, you see it all the time, just this nihilism in young men that is, really due to a lot of environmental causes and the fact that they don't have the same sorts of opportunities that their parents had. And we should reach out to those people and should try to bring them into some sort of coalition. But it's also important not to cater to their, if some of them have sort of worse leanings. You don't want to do it in that way. Not the way that Dennis Prager is doing it, where he's like, women should be property. That's not what I mean. But, ultimately, like, the best way to de-radicalize anybody and to get them to stop thinking of, the way that Dennis Prager does is by making sure that they have a job and a place to live and food to eat. Just by doing that, you can de-radicalize somebody because they don't care. They don't give a fuck about politics or, what's happening. They don't have to think about it. So that's it. That's the episode. If you're listening to this and you have anything that you want me to talk about ever, send it to jakin.off.podcast@gmail.com, or you can send it to me on Instagram at jakin.off.podcast. Give us a follow on there. What's going on? What's coming up? Oh, this is coming out on Tuesday. Tonight, the day that this comes out, tonight, Tuesday, March 7th, I will be at Hillsiders in Strawberry Hill, Kansas City, Kansas. Bow, bow, bow. I will be performing with John Huck. He's been on This Is Not Happening on Comedy Central. It's going to be a really fun show, so come on out to that. Tickets at the door, of course. And on Sunday, I will be at Knuckleheads at the Gospel Lounge of Kansas City. Kansas City Knuckleheads Gospel Lounge. You get it. You get where I'm going to be. That's at 6 p.m. Every Sunday we're doing that show. It's a fun time. So come on out every single Sunday. I'm not there every single Sunday, but it is either myself or Steven. My friend Steven Taylor. Steven Taylor hosting the show. That's it. That's the end of the podcast. I love you all so much. Thank you.